Hey guys, spring is just around the corner, and I wanted to take the time to talk about motorcycle stands, wheel chocks, motorcycle lift table. Coincidentally, I have one right here that I just purchased, and talk about what you should buy for your application that best suits your needs. For example, here I am in my garage. Just do a pan of my garage, which is not a very big garage. It's about 22 feet length by 11 feet across. And this is where I store some of my motorcycles. I still have another one that's in a different location, but this is where basically my motorcycles are stored, where I work on them, and where they get serviced. So let's start off with this lift table. Now, some of you may already have seen this lift table. There's different variations of it. This one I think is good for either 1,000 pounds or 1,500 pounds. You can buy it here in Canada, you can buy it at Princess Auto. In the States, you can pick it up at Harbor Freight. And they usually run anywhere between $600 to $800. Now, I got this one on a deal, so I paid a little less. But this is essentially it. Really wonderful. I'm really loving it so far. So it does come with the foot pedal, which is just under there that you attach, and then you can raise it up and break it down like a hydraulic lift. Now, the only thing I don't like about these type of tables is I had to modify the front. So what it actually comes with is not stable and not good. Now, as you can see here, this all looks ghetto. I know. I basically had to use pool noodles because the wheel chock, I decided to modify a wheel chock that I already had. And I'm sure you guys have also seen this style of wheel chock. That is essentially probably meant for a cruiser bike. Not really good for a 120 series tire. It's just a little too wide, so I decided to put the pool noodles and made it much more stable. But I am going to modify it and get a proper one in there. But as you can see, it just gives you an idea. This is still better than what this table comes with. I think the 3 different levels of tables come with different appendages for the front to store to put your wheel chocks to put your wheel on. But essentially, all the ones that I saw were not that great. So this is what I have for now until I upgrade it, and it works just fine. As you can see, doing a little brake service on the Desmo right now. And next, what we have over here is, again, this is just your standard type of wheel chock, but I really like this. So I'm going to be buying something similar to put on this table, which is a little more narrow, that'll fit nicely. But this wheel chock is great. Now, again, you could buy it in States. You could probably get it for like anywhere from $60, $80. Again, Harbor Freight. Here, this one comes from Princess Auto, which is about $100, but you could get them on sale, sometimes half off. And I love this. Roll the bike on, and it just stays in place, and makes life easy, really, when you're in a confined space. As you can see, I have another one right here for my track bike that I just put up closer to the wall, so I got more room like to move around. Now I'm still going to be rearranging this garage, so that's why this bike is kind of on the side over here. The RC's over here. This belongs to a friend. I think I mentioned it before, which is going to be on its way out, so I can bring my other motorcycle here. But for confined spaces, what I'm using, these type of wheel chocks are really, really good. Lift table, I would recommend if you have the space to put it. It just makes life easy when you want to do certain maintenance to bike, and obviously I want to say cool factor, but I love having this. So rear stands, as you can see, this is Pitbull style rear stand. These could usually go for a couple $100. Is it worth it? Like, you're spending that much on a rear stand? It depends. The quality of Pitbull is super high. They use great materials, good construction, good design. So yeah, spending a couple $100 you could say it's probably worth it, right? I mean, considering how much some of these things cost, you want to make sure that whatever you're going to be using is good quality and stable, that nothing's going to happen or break. Now, that being said, there's a whole bunch in the market that you can buy something cheaper and it'll work just fine. Here's an example. This is my old, I think it was made by Hindle, style rear stand. Very simple design. I don't find it's the best in terms of like sturdiness, because if you move forward, it's easily can sometimes pop forward. So I just have this as a spare. Um, this is actually another style. This is meant for the Ducati. So specifically for the Ducati, so it does not just it does not adjust. But you know, that came with the bike, so don't even want to talk too much about that. Front stand. Now this is front stand for when you want to service your forks, and you can still use that as regularly without servicing your forks. It's a style of stand, and it works well. Again, costs about 80 to 100 bucks. It comes with different pins that go underneath. If you guys don't know already, goes underneath. There's a little hole up here on all motorcycles. It comes with different pins to fit those holes. Then you lift up your front stand, front motorcycle, and then you could like do work on it and remove the forks and do all wonderful sorts of stuff. Now, here's the piece that is resistance. If you really want to be a big baller, you buy one of these from Dynamoto. These things have 360-degree movement. And again, for someone who's got a confined space, this is what you want. Now, this is not cheap. I think it goes for about $720 to $780 US. And, you know, it's constructed with these heavy-duty Omni wheels. Okay, these Omni wheels are not cheap. And that's part of the problem. That's part of the reason why these things cost so much. Construction on this design is really, really good. But this is more meant as not meant to necessarily service your motorcycle versus, you know, the front stand that you have here when you want to lift the front. Like you have the triple tree style, or you have the forklift style right here for the front stand. When you put your motorcycle on one of these, it's really more for storage. With these lifted up high in the rear stand, as you can see, you got the shorter end, you got the taller end. You can service the back, you can take off a wheel, that sort of thing, but you can't do anything with the front. So I think these are really meant, when you buy one of these, to store in tight places. I can roll around the garage. Usually have the Desmo on this, and it works quite well. But again, not cheap at all, but awesome. So let's take a minute. I'm going to show you some other stands. So here we are looking at some more stands. So this is another style front stand where you saw, so I showed you the one that has the pins meant to go under your triple tree to lift the motorcycle front that way. You have the ones that had a different attachment like this, like that is slotted to go and lift from the forks, in between the forks. And then you have this one here that has a pin style that actually goes underneath, and there's a little hole underneath at the bottom of the fork leg, which this is a style that hooks onto there to lift up your front end. This one also works quite well. Prefer either the triple tree stand style or this style, pin style, versus lifting from the actual clamping from the fork leg itself. Just because there's a little more room to play with if you need to do brake work and that sort of thing. So these are really good. It's really solid. If you see something like this that have shorter pins, and some of them you could buy like generic style from certain stores that usually just a slight tad smaller, I would stay away from those. Those ones, they don't have a good grip with the thin pin to try to get underneath the forks. Look for something a little thicker like this. Again, another Pitbull rear stand, same as the one that's currently Desmo's on the lift table. And then many of you have probably seen this. Okay, this is made by Venom, and it's supposed to be meant for tight spaces, kind of like the Dynamoto one, but it is nowhere near as useful. But for the price point, you're paying about 120 bucks for something like this. It's okay, but I don't necessarily like it because the casters are usually hard to swivel on when the bike's on. It's not as stable, and sometimes you got to hold the bike carefully because you actually could feel it, like if there's even the slightest little rock or something that's in front of one of the casters,
if it grabs, you can actually feel it almost like wanting to tip the bike. So you got to be super careful if you buy one of these. I wouldn't necessarily say they're horrible. Like they have a purpose, they have a function. However, they are not as good as the Dynamoto. Mind you, look at the price point that you're paying for, right? So again, you could still get one of these if you're in a tight spot. But if you have a flat surface full floor, and I mean completely flat, not like what's in the garage right now, it's slightly grooved, then you'll be fine with one of these. So that is my little tutorial for motorcycle stands. Again, there's so many of them out there um, that the world's your oyster. But the ones that I showed you are usually the ones that are good quality, good constructions. Try to stay with name brands. Venom is fine; they're cheaper style, but they actually work quite well. Um, Dynamotor, like I said, is more expensive, and obviously Pitbull. Well, can't go wrong with Pitbull. There's a couple other stands that I did want to show, but unfortunately I don't have them here. But maybe they'll be for another video. So anyhow, that's it for now, and we'll do some track footage soon. Thanks. Bye.